What is up, everybody? State of Skol is live on your screens, in your podcasts, wherever y'all listening. We thank you. And this week we are live previewing the New Orleans Saints at home. But guys, this is a big week for SOS because this week we have a brand new guy, our new co-host joining us here on the State of Skol podcast. Our boy Josh
What's going
via
on, everybody?
Owasona.
Hey,
What's
guys,
going
I'm
on, man?
happy to be here, ready to talk some Vikings. Let's go.
Let's go.
Get into it.
Let's get into it. It's finally good to have someone alongside that loves the Vikings as much as I do, right, Josh?
Yeah. I've been a fan for years. I've cried a lot of times. I've smiled a lot of times. I live and die by the Vikings.
Intimate question here because you brought it up, and now I have to ask: when was the last time you cried over a Vikings game?
Probably the Minneapolis Miracle. I was second to last row in the upper deck, and the tears just fled from my eyes right away.
Right. Yeah, I would say that's probably the last time I did too. It was a moment unlike any other.
Yeah.
And the emotion which I think that was like I emotionally blacked out. Like I don't remember a lot after that moment happened. So yeah, that was great. But we got our buddy here, Josh, and we're ready to rock.
Yep. Let's get into it.
So, as always, we're going to get you guys here with some Thursday night stuff, and we have the game of the century via Amazon Prime. Panthers and Bears, what everyone has been waiting for to start Week 10. Josh, aren't you so excited?
I'm excited.
I can tell by you.
Battle of the Titans. I mean, both of these squads are menaces on the field. I am excited to watch Adam Thielen run around out there. He loves playing the Bears. He's played them plenty of times in the past, so I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see what Bryce Young can do. He's had some struggles here and there, so we'll see what he can do, and we'll see what our division foe, the Bears, can do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. It usually is when you have two teams that are kind of similar in they're similar in the ways that they're both really effing bad. But it's going to be an interesting game. A couple things that I'm liking tonight on Underdog Fantasy. Eddie Pinheiro, 5.5 kicking points. I think no matter what, this is going to be a multiple field goal game for both teams. So if you want to go ahead and take Pinheiro and whoever the Bears kicker is, Cairo Santos, his is 6.5. So that might be biting off a little bit more than you can chew. But if they get a touchdown and 2 field goals, there it is right there. So, I think we got to take the kickers tonight. And then if you're loving Adam Thielen, why would you not? He's a Minnesota boy. Couple things for him. So he's got a spicy entry, which on Underdog, that'll boost your payout by 1.5 times. So if he scores tonight, that entry is getting boosted. 6.5 receptions, 68.5 receiving yards, and then 12.5 fantasy points. But Underdog plays under the half PPR rule, so keep that in mind. Another thing that I like today is Jaquan Brisker tackles. He's been out the past couple games. His line tonight is 5.5 tackles and assists. He's hit that line last 4 out of 5. And he's their main safety. I think this is going to be a lot of, Bryce Young, he throws a lot of checkdowns, a lot of short and intermediate throws. Yep. So I think it's just one of those games.
Yeah. And Jaquan Brisker, whenever he's healthy and on the field, man, he flies around.
Yeah, he sure does.
You always got to keep an eye on him when you're on the offense because he flies.
Right. Yeah, so that's a couple things I'm liking here. And we forgot to do the ad read, and I'm so mad at myself. So we're going to hit it here. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get some action on sports. It's Underdog Fantasy in their Pick'em game. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite or least favorite player stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your Pick'em entry, get every pick right, and take home some cold hard cash. Use the code 10K and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog Fantasy. So, guys, like I've been saying all year, we've been very close on making money, but if you've tailed me over the season, you're probably up a little bit of coin. So I'm just going to pat myself on the back for that. Josh, you said you do a little bit of stuff, and he's been made a good killing.
Yeah, I've been doing well this year. There's a lot of stuff that I'm liking this weekend. Viking stuff, especially. Cam Bynum's one I'm keeping an eye on. He's flying around right now. His line's at 6.5 tackles and assists. I I think Cam could have a big game and make an impact this week.
Yeah, Cam Bynum, he's definitely been putting in work, and I think he's been crushing that line. I took it last week, I think, and it hit, and he's only missed like once the whole season. Like he gets like 8, 9, one. I think it was week 2. He had 15 tackles. Like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, they love putting him at a low line. Seems every week I look at the box score after the game, and Cam Bynum's up there in their top 1 or 2 tacklers each week. So that's definitely one that I like to hammer.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to roll into it here with a preview. Saints and Vikings. The Saints head to Minneapolis to take on the Vikings. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Kevin O'Connell earlier this week said that Josh Dobbs is getting the start. A lot of people were in uproar about that for whatever reason because they didn't watch the game on Sunday. So, Josh, what do you think about Josh Dobbs getting the start on Sunday?
I mean, I think you have to roll with him, right? He came in after a couple days, didn't even run any plays with the team, didn't take any snaps from Garrett Bradbury before the game. I mean, the offensive line was learning his cadence on the sidelines during a TV timeout. And the guy came in, he had some struggles. He had the safety, he had a fumble. But he's confident, man. He's smart. The pastronaut is what they're calling him.
Yes.
So I think you have to roll with him. And I think if, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if for some reason he doesn't play well, then maybe you throw in Jaren Hall when he's healthy. But I think you have to roll with Dobbs.
Right. The thing that I was seeing this week is everyone was bringing up the point of you got to see what you have in Jaren Hall. And it would be one thing if we were a 3-win team or it was a tougher schedule from here on out. And it was just like, yeah, we're just not going to get it done. And the defense looked worse, blah, blah, blah. We have a chance to go make a run. This team is a solid team. It doesn't matter if Dobbs is the quarterback, Hall, Mullins, whoever they want to throw in there. Once we get down the road and once we get into January, this team is going to be a tough out because they're playing good on defense. They have the playmakers on offense. And like you said, you got to roll with the hot hand. Josh Dobbs looked really good. He's brought a scrambling ability that we've never even had in this offense and a running ability that KOC can tap into. And he didn't even look bad in Arizona. That team is dog shit.
Yeah, and see, that's a thing. Who did he even have in Arizona? Marquise Brown.
That was his best guy.
James Conner when he was healthy, and he's been out 4 weeks. Trey McBride. I mean, he didn't have anybody to throw to. He didn't have any weapons. He didn't have a line. I mean, just fantasy-wise, the guy's a top 10 fantasy quarterback when he was with the Cardinals. And he comes here. He has weapons. JJ's hopefully coming back next week. I mean, I think you have to roll with him. And Jaren Hall, he looked good. His 2 drives that he had, he looked good. Unfortunately, he got the concussion. But that drive when he marched him down to the red zone, I thought he looked promising. But when you have a guy like Josh Dobbs, he takes over the game. He wins a game. His first game-winning drive, you got to roll with him. You got to let him go.
Yeah, you got to let him roll. I mean, this isn't the time to be messing around. We're in 7th place right now. You need to go make a run at this. And I think last week, I didn't really bring this up. This just tells you exactly how good of a coach Kevin O'Connell is. He's got this team believing. He's got this team locked in. When you watch those post-game interview or the post-game rants or, his speeches in the locker room, I look forward so much to those after a win because everyone is just so locked in and everything that he says is 100% what you want to hear out of the head coach from your football team.
Yep. That locker room, man, they believe in KOC. And with Josh Dobbs, when he comes in and plays a game like that, they're on his back. They believe in him too. They're confident with him. And yeah, KOC, he's a mastermind. He's calling Dobbs in the middle of the plays. He's like, this guy's going here, this guy's doing this guy's doing that. And it worked.
Our boy Mike Brown. I could listen to KOC talk literally all day. Same, Mike, same. I mean, he's just that dude. And we kind of saw it last year, but this year shit hit the fan early. And you were like, okay, what are we made of? What is he made of as a head coach? Now we've seen it. This team is full of a bunch of dogs, and KOC lets that attitude run through the team.
Yep.
And it's going to carry us.
Yep.
This week we do have a good defense on tap. Last week, I slandered the Falcons defense without any prior knowledge. I guess they're top 10 in a bunch of stuff, and they do have AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates. And I mean, they didn't really, it didn't feel like they kind of limit us defensively, even with a random quarterback that had been there for 5 days. Now you have a Saints defense who's about the same mark and kind of plays the same style and with a lot better players. Cam Jordan plays like a fucking Hall of Famer every time he plays against the Vikings.
Yep.
Demario Davis in the middle is a problem, and Marshawn Lattimore is also a problem. So what do you think about this Saints defense heading into Sunday, Josh?
Well, AJ, there's one guy you can't forget. That's the Honey Badger.
Oh
That
my
guy's a
God.
ball hawk. He's all over the field. He finds the ball. But yeah, this Saints defense, they're no joke. There are a lot of veterans. Demario Davis does have a little bit of a knee injury. I was looking at the Saints inactive list for practice today. They said he had a knee injury. I don't know if he's out. I'm assuming he's questionable as of now. But yeah, they're vets. And like you said, Cam Jordan is a Viking killer. Every time he plays the Vikings, I don't know what it is, but he eats.
He turns it on, and it's just like nobody can stop him.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. But, we do have two good tackles. Darrisaw limped into that game last week, didn't end up playing with a groin. I think he was limited today in practice. Definitely had a bunch of guys on the injury report. Do you have that in front of you, or?
I do. So as of today, Brian Asamoah, Darrisaw, Hawkinson, JJ, and Munt were all limited. Dean Lowry and Jaron Hall and KJ Osborne did not practice, and then Jalen Naylor was a full participant.
Okay, so about what you expect. I think with guys like Hawk, JJ, they're kind of just keeping those guys limited to make sure that they're fresh for Sunday. And it's going to depend on tomorrow's practice. If they are full, then we're feeling good. If they're limited still, then it's like, ooh, it's a little bit of a question mark.
Right, and two things on that. Darrisaw, though he didn't play last week, Dan Quisenberry came, or I think it's Dave Quisenberry came in. He played a hell of a game at left tackle.
Right.
He played a hell of a game at left tackle. Just they threw him in there. I think he was on the Bills last year, or maybe mid-season we got him this year. They threw him in there, and he played a hell of a game at left tackle. So that's great to see, to show us that we have some depth in that line. And then the other thing is TJ Hawkinson. That guy was getting just beat up last week, and he is tough as nails. Rib injuries are no joke, and he was battling through it, man.
Yeah, he's a battler. He certainly came through for us last week, was the team's leading receiver, and that's what you want out of the highest paid tight end in the NFL. So hopefully he's good and ready to go. I am a little bit disappointed that Justin Jefferson will not make his return this week. So he was activated off the IR. He has a 21-day window to come back and be activated again for full games. But it's unlikely that he'll play this weekend against his hometown team, the Saints. So, Josh, I think it's probably good that we err on the side of caution. But also, like, if Dobbs is the guy, we got to get him worked in with JJ. The sooner, the better.
Right. I think JJ being as good as he is, I think, you could almost throw him in whenever with Dobbs and they would find a way to make it work. That guy has a catch radius of a mile. He can catch anything, But yeah, I do agree. I think they do need to get some time together. One thing I did want to touch on is losing Cam Akers. That's going to hurt us a little bit. I am interested to see how Ty Chandler does. In the snaps that he's gotten, he has shown some flashes. He's had a couple nice runs. So I'm interested to see how many snaps they end up giving Ty Chandler this week.
Yeah, that's going to be a thing to watch moving forward. One thing that I've been on the show all year about is the running game. And I don't know if it's going to get there. I mean, we're halfway through the year and we're bottom as hell in almost every rushing statistic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, it's just not there. The speed and the home run pop to get to the second level is just not there. And I just don't know if it's going to get there. Like, what can you do? And the problem is that, we did our due diligence by getting Cam Akers for a bag of chips a month ago.
Yep.
And then he turns his Achilles, and that's just devastating. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at the free agent pool, there's no one there.
No.
It's just
yeah, and like you said, the free agent pool, I mean, at the beginning of the year, Kareem Hunt was out there. He's on the Browns now. Fournette was out there. He's on the Bills now. We brought in Myles Gaskin here and there, sent him out, brought him in, but Yeah, I think Ty Chandler's going to have to step up and play some big games this week, play some big plays.
Our boy Mike Brown chimes in here with Hawk and Munt banged up. What are your current thoughts on Josh Oliver? Well, I feel like Josh Oliver was brought in more as a blocking guy. Wasn't he the one that had that fumble
Yeah.
in the very first play of the Chiefs game?
Yep.
So it's not like I want to be like, oh, well, you can't go in because you fumbled, but also like it's kind of our MO for the first 6-7 weeks of the season. I don't really know. So
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Josh Oliver, we paid him money, so hopefully he can do something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, give him a chance. I think he'll be fine. We've thrown to him, it seems like a couple times each game, and he's not made massive plays, but he'll pick up a few yards when he needs you to.
Yeah, so hopefully this week the offense, Josh Dobbs has more than 5 days to, maybe this week he'll actually learn some plays and they'll put together a good game plan to get this thing rolling with the offense. I think it's going to have to be a big passing day in a lot of stuff where you work people open. KJ Osborne being a DMP certainly concerns me, especially with the way that he was. I mean, that was one of the scariest hits I've ever seen. So I don't anticipating him playing on Sunday. So it's going to have to be next man up. But Tristan Jackson did actually look pretty good last week. He had the 2-point conversion. So it's time for these guys to step up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm thinking it might be a big Brandon Powell game. Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah,
you said, Tristan Jackson. I'm excited to see him play some more younger guys, see what he's got. You remember Stephon Diggs was a 5th-round pick. He didn't play right away. We worked him into the system, and look what he is now. So who knows? Tristan Jackson might be a stud.
he might be that dude for sure. So fingers crossed. Gonna flip to the other side of the ball here. So the Saints offense coming into the year, they went out and got their big fish, Derek Carr, because they needed a quarterback. And instead of being like, maybe we'll hang around for someone young, they're like, nah, we'll just get Derek Carr. And I don't blame him because he's serviceable, but I don't really think he's done what they wanted him to do this year. Him and Olave it seems like that connection should have been money. And it was kind of at the start, and then it's really fallen off. And I don't know whose fault that really is. They have Alvin Kamara back now, who's humming. But the Vikings have also, besides week 2, when the Eagles slaughtered us with 78,000 carries, they've handled running backs pretty well. So how do you see our defense faring against the Saints offense, Josh?
Well, they're gonna have to play a pretty good game. These Saints the last 4 weeks have been averaging 414 yards of offense,
Ooh.
second in the league behind the Baltimore Ravens. So they're gonna throw it. They're gonna run it. Another Viking killer, Alvin Kamara. I'm sure you remember Christmas a couple years ago. He scored what, 6 touchdowns on us, or was it 7? It was too many. I couldn't count them all.
I think it
He's
was 7.
Yeah, he's a Viking killer. Michael Thomas, he's Michael Thomas. He might not be what he was, but he could still do it. And like you said, Chris Olave, that connection should be a top 5 connection in the league. So we'll see. We're gonna have to play an A game on defense.
And also, one Viking killer that we're forgetting about that's come on in the last couple weeks, Taysom Hill. Like, I don't know how someone of his rarity, like when he comes in the game, he is getting the ball. You need to either prepare for a run or prepare for a pass. Like there needs to be like he's just a cheat code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. And I feel like whenever the Vikings are not playing when the Saints are. So if I'm watching NFL Red Zone and there's always a Saints on offense, let's flash to the Saints game. It's Taysom Hill, and he's always making a big play. He's always making big plays, and they need to keep an eye on him as well.
And it seems like in years past, he's kind of just been like the unicorn guy that'll show up for a game and then disappear for like 5 games. And then you see him on red zone and he throws a touchdown to the fullback and it's like, oh my God, Taysom Hill's still on the team. This year, they're using him a lot more in that offense just because I feel like they have to muster something up because it's weird right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, we're going to need a big game out of our defensive line. That's where it's going to start, in the trenches. The Saints have a pretty solid O-line. They've got some vets on that line. Daniil Hunter, he is, I don't get it. He's leading the league in sacks. He's leading the league in tackles for loss, but he doesn't get talked about. He doesn't get talked about. There's a poll about defensive player of the year so far. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, and I think it's Nick Bosa. Or no, excuse me, Max Crosby. Nobody talks about Daniil Hunter. I don't get it.
He's up there with all of those guys. And obviously he is because it's the stats, but because he plays in Minnesota, they don't give a shit. And because our defense is mid, they don't care either. But he's carrying our defense, and he's carrying our pass rush. I mean, don't get me wrong. DJ Wanham has been solid as hell this year. Those guys in the middle, Harrison Phillips, Dean Lowry when he was playing, they've been good. The trenches have been solid for the most part. And Marcus Davenport, when he played for those couple games, that one game, when will he ever come back? Will he ever come back? I don't.
I hope so. One thing I do want to talk about as well is a turnover differential for this game. Turnovers are going to win this game. Both offenses, have the power. The Saints are a +8 in turnover differential this year, which is pretty good. The Vikings are -5. Okay.
Yeah.
The Saints are rolling hot. They had 5 turnovers off the Bears offense last week.
Oh my God.
We're going to have to protect the football, and we're going to have to get the football from them because it's going to be a battle.
Every time I saw Red Zone last week, it was like Tyson Bagent did something bad and gave them the ball. I'm like, what? And they only lost by 7 points. If you don't throw one of those interceptions, they might get beat or something weird happens. Like, they were playing with their food in that game. I didn't understand that at all. Like,
that
game was so weird.
Right. And these Saints, I mean, they're a solid team, but they haven't really beaten any good teams. They've beaten the Titans, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Colts, the Bears. None of those teams jump out at me. None of those teams scare me, So sure they've won some games, but it hasn't really been against anybody good.
No, they haven't. I mean, the best team that they've played so far is either the Texans or the Jags, depending on who you like out of both of those teams. Like, we might be able to sit here and say after Sunday that we're the best team that they faced. And moving forward, they play Atlanta, Detroit, Panthers, the Giants, the Rams, the Bucks, and the Falcons. So, Detroit will be the best team that they play this year, which, according to all the analysts, oh my God, they're the best team in the NFL. So maybe their schedule isn't bad. But yeah, they haven't looked super impressive, and they've been getting by ugly. But we also seem to have a knack for winning one-score games. I mean, we kind of broke that with the Packers, but once again, last week, got back to it in a one-score game, a 3-point win. So I don't see this week being any different.
No, it's going to be a close game. Whether it's high scoring or low scoring, we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be a close one for sure.
So what I feel like gets us here is, I don't know. I don't like early on this year. I feel like I was worried about the secondary, but now they've come on and they've kind of figured their stuff out. So we brought up Alvin Kamara. He had 7 gazillion touchdowns last time we played against him, and he ruined my Christmas. But I mean, he's back in Minnesota. The first game he played, in that miracle game, he was excellent. The other game that he played here, he was excellent. So maybe he has an knack for playing against us. I think if they get the W, he's going to have a game.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to cover him in the passing game.
Correct. Yep. As of right now on Underdog, his line rushing wise is 51.5, and his rushing and receiving is 89.5.
What's his receiving?
I don't know. I'm guessing it's right around the high 30s, low 40s.
Yeah, I think last week it was like 36.5, and he didn't soar on it, but he had like 44. But that's been one of those props this year where if you're taking Kamara's receiving yards, money.
Well, yeah, it's at 33.5.
Wow.
And I wish there was one for receptions. I feel like the guy catches 6-7 balls a game.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't do that because that would be free money.
Correct. Yeah.
That's basically a free square.
Correct.
So, you got a score prediction for this weekend?
Oh man,
I love doing these.
Yeah. I think Josh Dobbs is going to have a good game. I think our defense is going to play well. I do think it's going to be a little high scoring.
Okay.
I'm going to say 34-27 Vikings.
All right. By a touchdown, getting it done. 34 points is a lot of points. And I didn't really realize last week was the most points that we've put up all year. How ironic is that?
Yeah.
How the fuck does that work?
this season is just crazy, man. It's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of fun, but yeah, it's been crazy.
It's been a real roller coaster because last year it was like the straight shot of just nonstop adrenaline every week. This year it's been a little bit more up and down, like your traditional roller coaster. But I feel like right now things are starting to get really good. So we're seeing that big loop and that big drop come up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think fans are confident, the team's confident, so I'm ready, man.
I'm ready. As far as the score prediction for myself, I was thinking 31 Vikings, 27 Saints.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
We're right, right next to each other with that. Do you know what the over under is?
I'm checking that right now because it's got to be close to that high 40s mark.
Yeah, 40,
40 and a half.
What'd you say?
40 and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm taking the over on that.
I probably would too.
Wow.
And then the Saints are favored by 3. I don't. Rude.
Let them doubt us.
I guess so.
Doubt us all you want.
I might have to drive to Joe's and take Vikings -3 or +3.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I love being an underdog.
That's when people count against you. So.
Yep.
All right, well, that's going to do it for here on the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for your comments. Thank you guys for listening. We will be live post-game pretty much after the game ends, recapping all that we saw from a Vikings dub. So for AJ here at State of Skol, Josh, our boy.
Thanks, guys. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Josh10KTakes.
He just made his Twitter, guys. You need to go follow him. All right, guys, signing off. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you Sunday.
See you guys.